My kitchen might look clean on camera, but outside of the frame is another story. Cupboards were filled with empty boxes, mounds of expired, forgotten food, duplicates of ingredients and kitchen equipment because I had crammed so much into the pantry and kitchen that I could never find anything. This chaotic mess of expiring food was not only costing me money, but it was weighing me down, affecting my mood. It took me 4 days, but making a few changes and following some key principles, I set up a functional system in my kitchen that has maximized my workflow and inspired me to cook healthy meals and make healthier choices. The best part is that this system is so easy to maintain. As a solopreneur, food blogger, a mom of 2 active boys, cleaning my kitchen is an inconvenience and always takes last priority because I have so many other important things to take care of. I've tried organizing my kitchen before using fun baskets and bins, but it always ended up the same 6 months later, a complete disaster. I felt like my life was a complete disaster. I wasn't inspired, I didn't feel like cooking. It was much easier to order DoorDash or pick up something from the store, but it made it harder to stay on track with my low-carb lifestyle. I just kept buying more ingredients and ordering more bins, thinking that this was going to be the solution. But the kitchen still took forever to clean because I didn't have room for anything, so I just started to toss stuff in the cupboards. I've been wanting to clean and organize my kitchen for a while, but it wasn't until my refrigerator stopped working that I figured that now was the perfect time to start. And it's because my disheveled kitchen also extended into the refrigerator. And the problem I had there was the problem I have everywhere, which is too much stuff. Is there a reason we have so many condiments? My husband loves sauces, and me as a food blogger, I tend to buy a lot of sauces and condiments too to go with every single recipe. So I have accumulated quite a few sauces and condiments. So much so that it was actually taking over the top shelf of my refrigerator, which is limiting valuable real estate. So I sat down and assessed what we actually needed and use and what we could do without. If I hadn't used it in 3 months, it was gone. And that was really hard to do because a lot of these sauces are still good and I didn't want to be wasteful. But I knew I could always repurchase them if I needed to. And more importantly, you have to remember the cost of requiring to store an item. Too much inventory and stuff just gets buried. Having less food and kitchen equipment to begin with is much easier to manage. So I got rid of a lot of stuff, and I'm not kidding, that's 13 bags of trash that came from my kitchen and pantry. And I already donated a lot of it too. I had so much food crammed into that refrigerator and freezer that I didn't even know what I had. I would buy vegetables with the intent of using them, but then I'd forget that they existed because they got buried in the back, or worse, they got shoved into a place where all vegetables go to die. The crisper drawer. But what's even worse, since I couldn't find things, I would forget that I even had it in the first place and I'd go and repurchase it again. That's how I ended up with 5 bottles of buffalo sauce. What I realized is that my family and I are visual organizers. We need to be able to see it, to find it, and put it back. That's why I started using clear bins and containers to store everything, from snacks and dry goods in the pantry, bulk ingredients, spices, even in the refrigerator. I wanted that Pinterest-worthy fridge, so I thought I'd store in my fruits and vegetables in these big clear containers. And you know what? It works. We can easily see all the healthy snacks and fruits that are ready for us to eat. I can see what vegetables I need to use up so I don't let them rot. And the kids can easily see these crackers and these clear canisters, so we're not having to open up multiple boxes. At least I hope. I keep the healthy snacks for them in these clear bins to make grabbing items for school lunches very easy. I can easily tell what pasta and sauces that we have in case we're having spaghetti. I usually like to have my spaghetti sauce over lettuce though. Lazy Susans are great for storing sauces, oils, seasonings because you can easily find what you need without it getting buried. Nothing gets buried. And I try not to store anything behind the front items unless you can easily see it or it's a duplicate. Everything in the kitchen, refrigerator, pantry needs to be easily accessible, so you're not pulling something from behind and knocking it over, making an even bigger mess. What I discovered didn't work for us was bins with lids or drawers. Even if it's a clear container, it's just that extra step of having to open up a lid that just kind of prevents us from using it or even putting it back. See, the salad mix didn't make it because it was put into a container with the lid, and apparently it was too much effort for me to take the lid off to make a salad. We're just lazy. So I threw away all the lids for the bins like this one, just because we don't need it. Still gotta find a better solution for that salad mix. That doesn't make a lot of sense. It's better to condense and get rid of duplicates. And I know a great way of getting rid of duplicates. All of this cleaning and organizing can get my head spinning. To help me stay focused and energized, I make sure that I'm properly hydrated by drinking Element Electrolytes, who is my sponsor for today's video. Element makes my favorite electrolytes since they don't contain any sugars, dyes, and have delicious flavors. It's formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs, and it's perfectly suited for folks following a keto or low carb lifestyle because it has a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Sounds like a lot of electrolytes, but we actually need more electrolytes since a lot of us following that low carb keto lifestyle tend to not have a lot of processed foods, which have a lot of sodium in them. They come in these small packets that are easy to take on the go, plus they're easy to store. Right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. This is a great way where you could try all 8 of their flavors. Just go to drinkelement.com/KetoFocus. One of the consistent problems I had, especially with my pantry, is that nothing really had a dedicated space or home. If you don't give something a home, it's just gonna get pushed back or tossed into the cupboard, or worse, just left out on the counter. Before I organized each space, I sat down and mapped out where I wanted to put things. It helps to group things into zones like snacks, baking items, bulk items, canned goods. This spice drawer works. If you're on the fence about this, or you think it's one of those things that just looks good on Pinterest but isn't actually functional, I'm here to tell you that you need a dedicated spice drawer or rack. I've had this system in place for 7 years and I love it every time I use it. I can easily find what seasonings I'm looking for, and as a food blogger who does a lot of cooking, I have a lot of seasonings. Zoning helps in figuring out what you really need. If there isn't enough space for things that need to go in that zone, then you really need to address, do I really need this stuff? Or is it worth taking up valuable real estate to find a home for it? With the zoning of the kitchen and the pantry, I addressed another problem, which was I had all of my most used kitchen equipment in areas that weren't easy to get to. Like in here, which is a half lazy Susan. I had all of my skillets and pots and pans in here. It was heavy to pull out, the lids would fall back into the way back corner, and I'd risk my life every time to go back there to retrieve it, and who knows what's back there? Spiders, snakes, Pennywise. I moved them to this pull-out drawer, which makes so much more sense because I can easily grab a skillet and turn to the stove. In the Lazy Susan, I keep my Tupperware containers and Pyrex dishes that don't get used often. Storing my containers with lids on them is key for not making a mess of lost lids. Plus, it naturally limits the amount that you can hold onto. I ended up donating a lot of the smaller sizes that I didn't use much. I moved my bigger kitchen appliances into the pantry. The ones I rarely used were in a hard to access space, but still visual. And the ones I use more often are in an easy to access space, like my food saver. I find that I tend to use it if I can easily grab it. When it comes to finding containers and bins, another issue I had run into is using the wrong size. I used to have all of my bulk keto flours and sweeteners in these square OXO containers. They're clear, but they didn't really maximize storage. There would be this gap of wasted real estate behind them, so I could only fit like 3 or 4 bins on a shelf. Getting these rectangle containers that fill most of the depth, I'm able to fit more containers on the shelf, plus I'm not tempted to store anything behind there because nothing really fits. Same with these big clear bins in the refrigerator. They take up an entire shelf of the fridge, so I'm not tempted to bury anything. I wish that I would have filmed what my pile of doom looked like before I cleaned it up, but this space is where we would usually put all the things that didn't have homes, like mail, school papers, things that needed someplace to go like wallets or sunglasses. It would start with one piece of mail, but would envelop this entire section up until that air fryer. Since surface clutter attracts surface clutter, I decided to only keep things on my counter that we used every day, like the air fryer, the coffee pot, knives, salt, butter, toaster, and these cutting boards, but mostly because I don't know where else to put them. I used to have my KitchenAid in this corner, but I only use it once a year, so I decided to store it in the pantry instead. For paperwork and mail, I decided to get this bin. Yes, it's not clear, but it's aesthetically pleasing. And anything that needs urgent attention, like bills or forms for the kids, I usually take care of those right away. So having all the other stuff hidden won't hurt if I forget about it. It actually helps because I realize that it's not that important and end up tossing it anyway. These key changes to how I organize my kitchen, operating under a minimalist mindset, has really helped with our food budget. I'm not wasting money on spoiled food or opting for takeout because I just don't feel like cooking in my chaotic kitchen. We're making healthier choices, and I'm starting to get more creative in my recipes because I can see what I have to use up. It feels like I'm cooking in a brand new kitchen. If you took a peek at those bulk storage containers and want to know what I have in them and what I think that every keto pantry should have, well, look for that video coming out soon, or it might already be out. Just click right here.